Good evening. I'm Nemani Ndalembitiki of the Fiji Sun. Welcome to Fiji's only TV editorial show. In my say this week, I'm going to ask the question, what sort of democracy do we want? For 8 years, many Fijians yearned for democracy. Now that we have democracy, there are people still agitating and saying they are not happy. Fundamentally, democracy is seen as a form of governance by the people for the people. This is often implemented through elected representatives, which therefore requires free, transparent and fair elections in order to achieve legitimacy. This process took place in September last year, and the majority of Fijians voted in the Fiji First government. The transition from an interim administration to an elected government was peaceful and successful. The Multinational Observer Group, which independently monitored the election, ruled it was a free, fair and credible election. Allegations of irregularities, including vote rigging, were made by SODELPA, but was proved wrong by the Fijian Electoral Commission. It ruled they were without substance and credible evidence. The action to challenge the democratic process is a serious issue. If it is based on innuendos, hearsay and claims devoid of facts and truth, it can still affect the way people think about the concept of democracy. In other words, it could cause irreparable harm. People could lose faith in democracy. I would have thought that people should appreciate that the past year was better than the previous 8 years because we have regained our basic rights to choose for ourselves and enjoy freedom of expression. More so, our new constitution not only protects these basic rights, but also stipulates that we are all equal and our common name is Fijian. These are universal principles that shine the light on the dark corners of inequality and discrimination in all its manifestations. That is the reason why it is so important that we build on our young democracy because of these noble ideals. The ideals of democracy are so appealing to citizens around the world that many have sacrificed their livelihoods, even their lives, to fight for it. We are blessed in Fiji because the change has been peaceful. Indeed, our era of civilization is characterized as much by war and conflict as it is by peace and democracy. The 20th century alone has often been called the century of war. In a way, the amount of propaganda and repression and some non-democratic states set up against their own people is a testament to the people's desire for more open and democratic forms of government. That is, the more people are perceived to want it, the more extreme a non-democratic state apparatus has to be to hold on to power. However, even in established democracies, there are pressures that threaten various democratic foundations. A democratic system's openness also allows it to attract those with vested interest to use the democratic process as a means to attain power and influence, even if they do not hold democratic principles dear. This may also signal a weakness in the way some democracies are set up. In principle, there are many various ways to address this, but in reality, once power is attained by those who do not genuinely support democracy, it is not easy for them to give it up. Currently, there is debate over the role of the Vanua and chiefs in relation to politics. Can they coexist? We know that in the Vanua and the chiefly system, the concept of democracy runs contrary to their governance, which is autocratic in nature. Some put it more bluntly as a form of dictatorship. When the chief or the village elders speak, everyone else toes the line. These traditional leaders are not chosen by the people through popular vote, but inherited those roles through their bloodlines. Modern democracy, as we have it today, allows the people to vote for their government. In our case, the people have given their mandate to the Fiji First government to lead and develop Fiji. If they are not happy with the Fiji First government performance, they can elect a new government in the 2018 general election. I believe that there is little room for the traditional governance to directly influence the democratic process because they are incompatible. The doctrine of the separation of power applies here under the Constitution. The equality provision protects the people and the democratic process from abuse because it condemns discrimination and discourages sectional interests at the expense of the national good. There is greater accountability and transparency in governance now, supported by the government's zero-tolerance policy against corruption. When some denounce our democracy, they need to be asked, what sort of democracy do they want? Do they want a form of democracy that only suits their political agenda? For the first time, we have a constitutional democracy that addresses the deficiencies of the past that have given us so much grief and pain, and set us on the right course for a more stable and peaceful future. This is Nemani Ndalimbitiki, and that was my say this week. For more of my views, you can read the Fiji Sun. See you next week.